Okay, so as per the assignment's instructions, I documented my phone usage for 48 hours. During these 48 hours and during this documentation, I observed a very diverse range of information seeking behaviors. A lot of these information seeking instances ranged from simply straightforward inquiries, such as asking about the weather or asking about animal sizes, the orca size, the elephant size, all the way to more complex topics such as training methods, training techniques, and also assessing medical symptoms, which I employed a method of information seeking that I will get into later. In addition to the information seeking inquiries themselves uh, being very diverse, the methods that I employed were also very diverse, and they ranged from search engines, social media, video platforms. Reflecting on this process entirely, I realized that I have a very limited awareness of what my actual phone usage patterns are prior to this documentation. I had always considered myself a pragmatic. I always felt like I always looked for objective truth in all information seeking instances. At least that's what I believed that I was doing. However, after I did this entire process, I feel like uh, I had a preference for quick and accessible sources, even if those resources were not accurate. I noticed throughout my information seeking instances, I had a I would prefer to get I would prefer to get information quickly and in an accessible way rather than get the most accurate and the most truthful information. Although I was generally successful in retrieving the information that I needed, there were many instances where I kind of recognized the limitations of the methods that I was using. So in this video reflection, I'm going to be going through each of my information seeking occurrences one by one. I've picked 10 of the ones that I've had in those 48 hours. And I'm going to be going over the context of the information seeking occurrence, as well as linking it to some course concepts that we've discussed throughout the semester. The first information seeking instance that I had in my documentation was me inquiring about the weather. I feel like this information seeking instance ties into the user interface course concept that was discussed, that was mainly prevalent throughout Model 1. The reason being is the way that I actually inquired about the information. I didn't go and ask, I didn't go on the search engine and ask Google, hey, what's the weather? I kind of use the feature that Google has where it kind of has it in your notifications what the weather is, and that's sort of how I seek this information. This is indicative of me looking for the fastest way to access information. Although in this instance the information is accurate, it just kind of shows how my behavior is when it comes to seeking information. I always seek the fastest and most accessible way. Okay, so the second, third, and fourth occurrences of information seeking are actually tied together and they're related. So there's context behind this. Me and my friend were having an argument about what's bigger, orcas or elephants. So we wanted to inquire about the size of each through Google. So initially, the way that I phrased it to the search engine was which is bigger, orcas or elephants. So a lot of the resources that I found were very frustrating and confusing. There was a lot of information that I had to navigate through. A lot of the answers on the web ranged from Reddit posts, Quora posts, and this kind of ties into the course concept explored in Model 2, which is the cognitive load, which is uh, too much information can really overwhelm a user. So the way that I decided to kind of fix this was to just search for each animal size individually. I searched for the orca size and the elephant size, and the results that I found from that satisfied me more than when I searched for immediately the whole question, or what's bigger, orcas or elephants. I just had way too much, way many different opinions, many different sources. It was much easier to search for each of their sizes individually. Moving on, the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth information seeking occurrences, similarly to the ones before them, they all kind of branched off of each other. Again, there's context behind this. So, a few months ago, I competed in the Asian Championships for my country for MMA, and I faced an opponent, and that opponent kind of beat me, and he went on to the finals. So in this instance, I was just curious if he was registered for the World Championships as well. I went to the IMMAF Smooth Comp registration, and he was indeed registered for the World Championships. I trusted the Smooth Comp because obviously it's the official registrations. So that's where I registered. I know that's where all other athletes register. So I was sure of this. I was sure that this was credible. So for the sixth information seeking occurrences, it branched off of this because I got curious. Like, hey, did my opponent start his training camp already? Like the World Championships aren't for another 2 months. The way that I seek this is I went on his Instagram official Instagram account, and I found that yeah, he did start his training camp, which makes sense because he's an elite athlete. So obviously he'll be training much earlier. And yeah, this also branched off of like two other information seeking occurrences also branched off of this. Obviously, after searching for my like opponent's training camp, I got curious about some of the techniques that he was using, and I just went on YouTube and I like researched wall takedown techniques, and that branched off to another information seeking occurrences, scrambling techniques, and the it's sort of how the wheel keeps spinning, yeah. This doesn't really tie into any specific course concept. It's just a behavior that I noticed in myself. It's the when I seek information, I get curious about other things and I start seeking even more information. It's a behavior that's also prevalent in a lot of other people. The more answers you have, the more questions you have, kind of thing. Yeah. So for the ninth information seeking occurrence, I searched for symptoms of a torn rotator cuff because my shoulder felt kind of like I was in a little bit of pain, and I was wondering if I had a torn rotator cuff. So the method that I employed for this was that I used ChatGPT, which usually for like assessing medical symptoms, it might not be the best source of information. Now, I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this video that I had a habit of like looking for the most easily accessible information, and in this case, it's ChatGPT. This kind of ties into the concept of cognitive load and as well as UI as well. Uh, Sometimes online, like especially for medical assessments and stuff, like it's hard to like actually Google your symptoms and get good results, and that's where ChatGPT kind of comes in. It's much easier to like control the prompt on ChatGPT and write uh, be more specific, and ChatGPT will actually understand my question and answer. But usually, like the answers might not be correct. So like this is me like recognizing that it's not a credible source of information, but it's easily accessible, and that's why I opted for it. So I'll be wrapping this up by my final information seeking instance. I was doing an assignment and I was looking for PHP syntax, and the method for which I obtained it was a Google search. I went on W3 schools, and that was the resource that I used. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That wraps it up for this reflection. Thank you.